I'm Judy.
And I'm Haley. And welcome to Noodle Brains. So kick off your shoes.
Grab your Kool-Aid.
And let's get started. So we posted on Facebook a few days ago asking for topics from some of our viewers. And we came up with 5 or 6 different things to talk about. And if we don't get through them today, we will talk about them next episode.
Right.
So we did receive a lot of good feedback, though, on our first episode.
We did. Yesterday, I was at a meet and greet, and I had 2 women came and tell me that they had referred this video to their children to talk about their teenage kids because they fight depression. And it was so touching to hear that our videos are touching that many people, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, I had a ton of teenagers and girls and boys both text me and just be like, thank you for talking about this. It really needs to be talked about. And I was talking about it to family and stuff. Like, I don't care if it blows up. Just that I've had 1 to maybe 5 people text me and tell me that kind of made it like, this is why I'm doing this.
Right.
So that was really special.
Yes.
And like a really good moment. And it just makes you feel good when you're doing something to make others feel better.
Right.
Okay, so our first topic is discussing how to cope with your emotions and admitting to yourself. Now, we discussed a little bit about this before the podcast, and if you'd like to share your thoughts on that.
When I hit rock bottom and decided to get my life straight and that my life was just unmanageable, I began to work with myself mentally first, and that was, sorry, the pigs are fighting. The first thing I did to get myself mentally right was go to the doctor and start counseling. After that, I started working on myself spiritually, and there was a spiritual thing that I wanted to read the Bible all the way through, and so I began to work on myself spiritually, and then I began to work on myself physically, and things that I didn't like about myself physically, I began to work on it, but the last thing was emotionally. And out of all 4 topics, because I've learned in order to have balance in your life, you have to meet those 4 things. And I found the emotional part the hardest.
Yeah.
And it was because I have very strong emotions. like they're very strong. And you know how you constantly question yourself, like maybe you're talking to someone, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or I bet they think I thought this, or they thought this, and you find yourself just spinning out of control. I have learned that I can't always trust my emotions. I can't, because my emotions are so strong that I've learned that I have to stop myself and go, okay, Judy, you have really strong emotions. So I need you to stop for just a minute and pause and think about what is happening all around you. Because I will find myself just in total left field because my emotions get me there.
Yeah, I struggle with that, but I also think it can be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a good thing to have a big heart, but at the same time, you don't want to constantly be relying on your emotions. And my dad and I always talk about this. You need to follow... Okay, the bees. You need to follow, like, your actual mind instead of your heart sometimes, because sometimes you just have a big heart, and I know I do, and with that, like an example, I would take home every animal if I could, and you would too.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can't do that.
Right.
You can't bring home 800 animals, and you can afford to do that, but at the same time, you want to. So I think this kind of goes hand in hand with depression and stuff, is sometimes your emotions get so crazy and they're just constant, and you learning to deal with them is definitely hard. And some ways I've learned to deal with that is if I feel very anxious or very stressed out, I've learned to go take a bath, go to a quiet room, go lay down, get with the people I care about, things like that. And then other ways of coping, what would you say some ways are?
I want to say this real quick, because I know you're still young, but I remember when I was your age, I played on emotions in my relationships. Like, I didn't feel loved if it wasn't, like, if I didn't feel it inside me, then I wasn't loved.
Yeah.
I learned even with my marriage, I would always kind of reach out and go, you're not showing me you love me. It doesn't feel like you love me, because I thought love was an emotion. Like, I really thought that. I thought, I don't feel it in my heart. I don't feel you love me. And I learned that love is a commitment. And so many people think love is an emotional, because when you first get in a relationship, you have all that giddiness and all that excitement.
The honeymoon phase.
Yes. But then all that goes away. And then it's like, they don't love me anymore. They never tell me I'm pretty or whatever. You get all, and you lose that love. You've lost that love and feel. You know that song?
Nope.
They think that you've lost it. And it's like, no, love is not an emotion. Love is a commitment. Love is sticking beside each other. But one of the ways that I had to learn to cope with emotion was to get in the moment. Like, I would walk around my property and go, okay, what is going on around you? Like, what colors do you see? What animal, like, what do you hear? Do you hear birds in the background? You know, like, I had to get in the moment, because I would find myself in left field feeling all these emotions that were not real, and I had to get myself to reality and go, okay, what is going on around you? So I had to do that a lot. But I also talk about this a lot, is going to clean out your closet, like getting distracted. Like, distraction is a good thing. Like, when your emotions are playing tricks on you, go clean out your closet.
That sounds
Go
awful.
turn on music.
That's awful. I don't want to look in my closet. That's a sad thing. Listen, if I can't see it, it's not there.
You are so funny.
No, I'm like serious. Well, like, I guess all my winter clothes are down there, and it's just kind of everywhere, and I just don't want to deal with it. I will say, back to the like, seeing the different animals and the different sounds. I learned this when I was really young in therapy, probably around 11, when I first started going. Whenever you get really anxious, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have you ever heard about that?
No.
So if you get really anxious, it's just to get you distracted. So you name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste.
Well, how cool is that?
And it gets hard, because, like, if you're just laying in bed at night and you can't go to sleep because you're anxious, there's not many things you can smell or taste, unless, like, you've been drinking something or you just ate something. So it really, like, if you challenge yourself to get through that, by the end of it, you're so focused on trying to figure that out that you don't even remember why you were upset.
Wow, I'll have to try that next time.
And I've also learned, when you get anxious, if you'll take your hands like that, and it's kind of like a butterfly for those of you that are just listening. If you'll take both of your hands out, make 2 5s, and cross them and interlock your thumbs and place them on your chest and do and pat like a butterfly, it'll help you just to decompress.
Wow. Another thing that my doctor would talk about was changing your body temperature. So you could do a quick sprint or put a cold pack on your face. And Amazon makes these little rollers that you put in the freezer, and you can roll it on your face.
I've seen those. They look really cool.
Yeah, changing your body temperature can help with changing your emotion.
I will also say sour candy.
Yeah, I've heard.
Andrew and I were going to somewhere that I knew I would probably be really anxious, so we packed sour candy for me, and when I get anxious, I would just, like, put it in my mouth, and it would make me feel better.
Yeah.
Just because, like, the sour, it takes your mind off of it, and, like, the more sour the candy is, the better it's going to help.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot.
Yeah.
It also says, like, how to admit to yourself, because I think that was a really hard thing for me.
Admit that you're depressed or what?
Yeah.
Or anxious?
Kind of like admitting to yourself that, like, this is reality. That, I struggled with that when I first got put on medicine around a little under a year ago. It was kind of like, I actually have a problem. Probably in January or February, I was just like, I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think I was actually, because I had constantly been told, you're not depressed. You're not depressed. You're just sensitive. You're fine. you know, from all these boys in my childhood making fun of me.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh, you're perfectly fine. You're a girl. You don't know how to be tough. And then it was like, when you have a psychiatrist look at you and say, you have this and you have this. Mm-hmm. And like, that hurts. It's hard to be like, oh, there's actually something wrong. But that's okay. I feel like a lot of people don't want to admit things to themselves, but it might be hard. But I think that's kind of the first step of getting past it, is admitting that, hey, I am depressed, but these are the actions I have to take to get past it.
Yeah. I always think that when something becomes a problem and you admitting it is when it disrupts your normal routines. Like when you're not able to go to the movies with your friends, or you're not able to go to a football game, or you're not able to get up and go to school or work. Like when something is interrupted, then it becomes a problem. And sometimes, you know, situational depression and clinical depression both can do that.
Yeah.
You know, it can interrupt your entire life.
And I think that's the thing, is like when you have someone look at you that has went to school and they studied this their whole life, and you know that me telling you you're depressed doesn't mean anything compared to a licensed doctor telling you that. So for someone like that to look at you and be like, you have this and this, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
I can remember when my doctor diagnosed me with depression, and she began to explain to me that it's a chemical imbalance. And it was hard for me to understand that my chemical makeup in my brain like was causing the depression. And that's where medicine comes to play, because it gets that chemical in your brain in the right, what they call cocktail, so that your brain works correctly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times this is the case, and I know that you're young, but the things that I went through when I was your age is I would get on medication, and then I would get better, and then I would think I wouldn't need the medication.
And you'd stop.
And I would stop. And oh my gosh, it would be terrible.
Yeah.
And you have to really rely on your doctor's education.
You definitely do.
And not come off medication yourself, because that can be a disaster.
Yeah, and that's one thing, is I've always been like, I'm just going to stop taking it. And I'm like, I definitely can't, because I had one day I missed it, like 1 or 2 days, and that day was the most miserable thing I've ever done. Like the entire day I was like shaky, I was anxious, and you know, they're like, don't just depend on your medicine, and I don't. Like, I pray, I go to church, I see my psychiatrist, I see my therapist all the time, but at the same time, like, if I quit taking that medicine, it's gonna be
I have withdrawals.
Crazy.
I wonder if, because I've been on the same medication since 2013. So for 10 years, I've been on the same medication. So if I don't take it, sometimes it interrupts my sleep. I'm like, oh gosh, I got to get up. I didn't take my medicine, because I can not go to sleep or something. I can feel that my brain doesn't know how to function without that medication. But many times I have quit taking my medication because I thought, well, there was several reasons. One, I'd be like, this is making me eat more, or this is making me like feel nauseated, or this is making me like, I would like say all these things to make myself quit taking it, and I would do it without telling my doctor, and that was not good.
And it's not healthy for you. It's not good for your body to like have this medicine and then quit taking it and then get it back and then stop, because your body like cleanses itself. That's why some medications, they ask you to, like, you have to stop taking it before you start a new one.
Yeah.
Because I know when you first get diagnosed, and I bet you can agree with this, when you first get diagnosed, like, they go through a line of medications. You go to this one, and then they're like, okay, if this doesn't work, we're going to go to this. This doesn't work, we're going to go to that. And that's okay. But I had, like, a lot of people telling me, you're not supposed to be on this much medicine and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, we have to figure out what's right and what's not. Well,
I had my doctor do a chemical, wait, let me think of the word. Basically, she took a Q-tip and swabbed the inside of my mouth and sent it off for testing to find out what my body relates to when it comes to medication. So anytime she would change I'm a fast metabolizer. So like my dosages have to be small because I metabolize medicine really fast, and she found out through the test. And so if I have really bad anxiety, like let's just say I go to her and I have anxiety, and she decides that maybe I need a little something to help me because maybe I'm going through something situational, she'll go to that chart to see what medicine's best for me and how I metabolize it. So it's been real helpful. So that might be something you want to ask your doctor when you go about, having that test done to see what your body metabolizes and how it breaks down the medicine.
Yeah, and some people are like, well, why don't you try this medicine I'm on? And it's like, well, that's not okay for me.
Yeah.
Some things don't mix with your medicines. Like, I know I can't take just some random allergy medicine and cough syrups. I can't take that with my medicines.
Yeah.
And then I know, like, I'm on a blood pressure medication just for anxiety. Because the whole point of it is to, like, it slows your heart rate down, and when your heart rate's not as high, because I know sometimes I'll have panic attacks just because I think my heart's beating really fast.
Yeah.
And then, like, I could, get done with a run. Like, if I'm in the middle of a run and I was to stop and my heart was beating really fast, I'd freak out.
Yeah.
And it's not even that I mean to, it's that when my heart beats fast, I just start to get anxious about it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I definitely really struggle with.
Yeah.
But I think that everyone's body's different, and that's why there's so many different medications.
Right.
Because every single medication out there has worked for at least one person.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people get that.
Right. And one thing that two of the ladies that I met with that said they referred this to their daughters is sometimes it seems like parents don't know what to do with their depressed child. Just like your parents you talked about last time. They were like, oh, she can't get on medicine because my friend, committed suicide, and I don't want my daughter to do that. And a lot of parents are scared to get their child diagnosed or on medicine because they're scared of the outcome of it. And I can, me being a parent myself, I so can relate to them. Because I remember when my son was diagnosed with ADHD and they began to tell me that he needed medication, and he had so many side effects. He was not eating, he was losing weight, he was lethargic, and it was so hard for me. But if you are a parent and your child struggles with depression, I highly say seek help.
Yeah.
Seek help.
I will say one
and help
thing.
is different from everybody. Like some people don't need medicine; they just need therapy. Some people just need a different environment, whatever.
Some people just need a parent to be there for them.
Yes,
they need like a hug.
Yes,
my mom is not the hugging, not the emotional type. But she was a single mom, so she didn't really have the opportunity to be that. Like she, usually in a relationship, like a marriage, there's the bad cop, good cop, bad cop.
Yeah,
my mom had to be both. So there was a little bit less good cop.
Yeah.
But I know she had to learn, like, hey, I'm going to have times I'm upset. And she's gotten better at it. But my dad's a sensitive one. So, like, just to know when both of them looked at me and was like, it's okay. Like, I'm here for you and I support you through everything you do. And, like, I needed that. Because when I was younger, I didn't have that. I didn't have two parents there to just constantly be like, I love you and I support you no matter what.
Yeah.
And I know so many kids whose parents are like, you're fine.
I know.
They don't need that. They don't need the you're fine. And you know what? They might be. They might not have depression, but they might just be upset and they don't want to deal with that. And I just don't think it's fair to your kids. I think you just need, like, I know I'm a kid, but I know from being there that there's some points with my depression and anxiety, all I've needed was a hug from my mom or my dad.
Well, you just want to know it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of parents are just, they don't want to admit that they could even be at fault.
Right.
Because I know a girl, I'm pretty close with her, and I would say she's one of my really close friends. She went to therapy, and then her therapist pulled her mom aside and was like, well, these are some things that are affecting her. And her mom's like, nope, I'm pulling you out.
Of therapy?
Yeah. But, it's okay. It's okay for you to be the reason, because guess what? Some kids don't do well with constantly being told, hey, you need to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're just brats, but I know when I was younger, when my mom was like, okay, well, you need to get up. Like, I get you're upset, but you have things you need to do. But now my mom realizes, okay, hey, like, I might not need to be so hard on you.
Yeah.
But a lot of parents, when they get to that point, they're like, no, like, you're fine.
Yeah.
Get over it. If you're going to go
My
to
parents
therapy.
did that.
Yeah, if you're going to go to therapy and you're going to talk about me like there's other problems, that's not right. You can't do that.
No.
You need to be there for your kids no matter what.
Right.
But I also think that bringing your kids to therapy is a good thing, and I think you don't need to ask the therapist what's going on.
I agree.
Because the therapist will tell you if your child is planning to hurt themselves.
Right. I agree.
They will tell you that. But you don't need to know what's
Nope.
being talked about in therapy. That's the whole point, is your child's going to talk to somebody they feel comfortable with. And I'm so comfortable with my mom. But guess what? My mom didn't go to all these years of school to learn how to do this.
Right.
And
Well, there's times when you don't want to tell your mom.
yeah, there's some things like I just don't want to talk about.
Right.
You know, like I don't want to sit there and tell my mom how sad I am all the time. I don't want her to feel like she's a bad parent. Because
Right.
she is the best parent in this world. My mom has done everything for me. She has definitely been one of the biggest helps to my battle with depression since I was 11, and I'm 17 now.
Yeah.
And she has helped so much, and
Yeah.
so has Dad. But some things I don't want to talk about with them.
Right.
I don't want them to feel like it's their fault.
Right.
So I do think that parents need to.
But you know what? That's on parents. Like parents need to go to therapy too. To
I
learn
think
how
everyone
to deal.
should go to
Well, parents
therapy.
need to learn how to deal with kids that have depression, or kids that are addicts, or kids that whatever the kid's dealing with. You have to learn, because you, as a parent, you start blaming yourself.
Yeah.
And what did I do wrong? What did I do to cause this? And parents need to go realize that this is their kid. Like, you need to let your kid figure themselves out.
Yeah. Like, it's not your fault.
No.
It's not your fault that you let little Sarah over here spend the night at a friend's house and she tried alcohol for the first time. Now she's addicted. That's not your fault.
No.
Like,
It was going to happen.
it was going to happen.
It was going to happen.
Your kids are going to get exposed to things. Now, you can teach them, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
But if your kids are at school, you don't know what they're doing.
No.
You don't know if they're in the wrong crowd.
Or what
And
they're
you know
getting
what?
exposed
It's
to.
okay to be in the wrong crowd, but you need to know when you're in the wrong crowd.
Right.
I've been in the wrong crowd, but I've gotten out of it, and I've found God, and I've been saved, and now I know, hey, like, what I did was stupid. What I did was bad. I shouldn't have ever done it, but guess what? I did.
Right.
Can't take it back now, but I can definitely improve my future and how I'm going to change my life.
Right. Yep.
I just don't see why you wouldn't want to help your kid. And I can see, you're like, I don't want to admit that my kid's depressed. I don't want other people to think anything. But then it's like, your kid needs you more than anything during this.
Right.
And they just want the support.
And they don't want you to talk to them. They just want you to hug them.
Yeah, sometimes I just need a hug.
Yeah, like don't say a word. Let the counselor do their job, and you be there. You support them by taking it to it, paying for it, and doing what they need to do as a child.
Sometimes all I need to hear is I'm proud of you.
Yes.
Because I work like really hard, especially in school, and my mom's learned that. Like, I need words of affirmation. Like, I have to have that. And Mom and Dad have both learned that, so they're very big on, like, if I do anything, it's like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something I have had to work with, especially with my mom and dad. This says some people have depression from certain events, and some have it without warning. Where would you say you fall in that category?
Back when I struggled, it stayed there. Like, I would get depressed and stay there for years. Like, it wasn't a couple of weeks, it was years. I can tell now when it's creeping up.
Mm-hmm.
And when it creeps up, I find myself getting agitated. I find myself withdrawing from people. Like, I can feel myself having anxiety because I have a tour the next day, and I'm like, I can't do it. What am I going to do? I cannot do this tour. I am like, I've got too much on me, and I can't do it. I can feel it just building up. And then once it goes to the first level of, oh my gosh, I can't do this tour, I cannot face people. The next one is like, I can't sleep, because then I stay in the bed all night going, oh my gosh, I cannot do this. What am I going to do? I'm going to let these people down, and I just can't do it. But I've learned from therapy, I can feel it creep up, and I can immediately put it to rest. But it has taken me a long time to get to this point. Yes.
Yeah. Mine definitely came from a certain event in my life, and I lost my grandpa to cancer in 2017, and that was difficult because he helped raise me. He lived with me and my family, so it was really hard, but a lot of things followed that in school. I got really bad bullied, and it was just miserable. We even thought about moving schools because of how bad it got, because they weren't doing anything. The school system, I think, when it comes to bullying, is very messed up. Mm-hmm. And if it's certain people, they're not going to do anything about it. Now, if I were to bully someone now, if I went back to high school and I was bullying someone, I would get in trouble. But if, I don't know, the starting quarterback, if someone like that was to do it, it wouldn't.
Oh, I know.
It wouldn't be a thing. So I struggled with that, and I struggled probably until I was 13 and 14 severely. And then it let up a little bit, and it came back really bad probably a few months later. There was a few months where I was fine, and then it came. But I think I have always had anxiety. Even when I was little, there were certain things that would bother me, certain things I couldn't eat because of the textures, because it would stress me out. I don't do good with loud noises, like gunshots, fireworks, they stress me out. But I think with depression now, being on medicine, I'm more anxious than depressed. There's some days that I struggle, and I'm just I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. But the anxiety is more constant.
Did you have to learn, because I did, did you have to learn, what it was to be anxious, what it was to have anxiety, what it was to be depressed?
Yes.
Did you have to learn what that feeling was? Because I did.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because
I didn't know what it was.
Well, there's something different between being darn, I have a test tomorrow and I didn't study. And you're a little nervous, you get a little sweaty, and you're and you're a little jittery. Mm-hmm. But, when you have anxiety, that feels like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot I had a test tomorrow. And then you're beating yourself down, and you're you're an idiot. Why did you do that? And then you're to the point, you don't sleep all night. You can't breathe. You're shaking. I shake so bad when I get anxious, and it's everything's running through your head. You can't think. Mm-hmm. Now, usually when people get nervous, that doesn't happen. They might get a little sweaty and get a little really nervous and stuff, but when they walk in to take that test, they're going to get really, really anxious. After that test, they're fine. When you have anxiety, after that test, you're still stressed out because you're oh my gosh, what did I make? What did I answer on B or on question 2? Did I answer B or did I answer C? Oh my gosh, I think I picked the wrong one and I meant to pick this. And it's just hundreds of things running through your mind constantly.
When your brain is going that fast, what do you do to slow your brain down?
It depends what situation I'm in. It depends who I'm around. If I'm around people, usually I get really bad anxious. I did the other night because I had so many things I needed to do, and it was really late, and I was just out of it, and I needed a hug. That's all I needed. And Andrew gave me a hug, and I felt fine for a little bit, and then it was kind of okay, everything's okay. But I find myself praying, honestly, helps a lot. Just sitting there, and I know sometimes, I can't even form the words that I need to say, but I know God hears them. Mm-hmm. So I'll just sit there, and I'm just it's I'm pouring my heart out, but I'm not speaking.
Yeah.
It's all silent because there's so many things in my head that I can't even formulate words.
Yeah.
But they end up coming out.
So if you are, if you're at school and you have this anxiety about tests, and the anxiety stays with you after the test, Are you the type that shows it, or are you the type that can fake it?
I can definitely fake it if I'm around people I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have a really
Because you're
bad problem.
embarrassed about your anxiety?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Well, not that I'm just embarrassed. It's just that you don't want to sit there and be having a panic attack in the middle of class. Because then drawing the attention to me would make it worse.
Right.
I have a bad problem. You know, people bite their nails. I scratch the back of my hands. So I have bad scarring on my hands. I don't cut myself. A lot of people will cut themselves just to relieve pressure.
Right.
Another thing I have found to keep you from doing something like that, hurt yourself, is grabbing a rubber band and just popping it.
Yeah.
Because when you pop it right there, like, it hurts, but you're not hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Really hot showers.
Yeah.
Just do that. And, like, sometimes just dig my nails in the back of my skin, because it's not good, and I don't encourage anyone to do that. But that is something I really struggle with. And when my anxiety gets bad and I don't want to show it, that's what I do. But I try to use, like, a rubber band or something so I'm not actually hurting myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's definitely is hard.
I would, it was hard for me to hide my anxiety, because I would break out in hives. Like, I would break out in hives all over my face,
Sometimes
all over my neck.
I do break out in hives. Yeah, like,
and
right
it would be
here.
and people were like, "What? You're blood engine red," and it would be like, "I'm so embarrassed," because I would turn blood engine red.
I have gotten hives before, or you just start scratching, like, your arms and your legs for no reason. I've definitely had hives before. My hands sometimes swell up.
Yeah.
My hands and feet swell sometimes, and I have realized if I'm really, really anxious, my hands will swell up a little bit, which is really stressful, because then you're like, oh no, what if someone's looking at my hands?
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. This one was actually from my dad. He was talking about how sometimes he gets anxiety, but it's like, there's little things, and then it just kind of creeps up on him. And my take on that is, some days, like, when I wake up, I'll be fine. Like, I get up, take my medicine, I get started. And then it's like, oh my gosh, my hair's knotted. I gotta take 15 minutes to brush it out. And then it's like, oh my gosh, my schedule's ruined. I'm a big schedule person. I have to have, like, I wake up, I take my medicine, I sit on the couch for a minute, I decide if I'm gonna eat or not, I brush my teeth, or I wash my face, put on acne gel, brush my teeth, put on lotion, put on sunscreen. That's what I do every morning. It has to be the same thing every single day. And when that doesn't go to plan, that stresses me out. So, like, I get a little bit stressed out in the morning. Well, then it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get to school 15 minutes early. I'm only going to get to school 10 minutes early. That also stresses me out. So, like, that's two things already back to back. I get to school, I sit down, and then it's like, oh no, I need to go to the bathroom. So, I have a really long class. It's like 3 hours on Mondays and Wednesdays, and we have breaks in the middle. So it's like, do I want to go use the bathroom and walk in front of all of these people, or do I just want to hold it? So I'll just hold it, because I'm like, I'm not walking in front of all these people. So then that'll get you stressed out. And then, you know, I don't really get to talk to a lot of people on Mondays and Wednesdays, because I just go to school and I go home. So then when I go home and then I'm on the phone with Mom or on the phone with Andrew, I blow up, because I'm so anxious and I have all these feelings and my mind's going 90 to nothing that I just blow up. And it's definitely things like that, is like the little bit of anxiety here, a little bit there, and you just blow up to the point where you're having a panic attack, you're screaming, crying, you're mad. And I really struggle with that.
Yeah.
It's hard, but I've had to learn, deal with it as it comes. So, you know what? My hair's knotted. Okay, I'm going to brush it. Who cares? Throw it up in a bun, put on some PJs, go to school. You know what? I didn't get to school early. Again, who cares? No one else is there. Get there, get ready.
Yeah.
If you have to go to the bathroom, just close your eyes and walk. Look down when you walk. So I've had to learn, like, if you know these things make you anxious, try to avoid them.
Right.
So if you know, hey, the past few days I've been waking up and I've been getting to school a little bit later, wake up earlier. But don't just wake up a few minutes earlier. You need to wake up at least, if you think that you're waking up too late, you need to at least, at the minimum, wake up 10 minutes earlier. Because if you only wake up 5 minutes earlier, you're going to be like, ooh, I have 5 extra minutes.
Yeah.
But when you wake up 10 minutes earlier, you can take that 5 extra minutes. Because I feel like no one just wakes up and stands up.
No.
Like, I'm a morning person, but I'll look at my phone for a minute. If I have any unanswered emails, texts, or anything, I'll go look at them in the morning. And I kind of lay there for a second. And then I get up. So that's, 3 to 5 minutes every day? So you want to increase your time by enough to where you can still have that. Because you don't want to have to just get straight up. No one wants to do that.
I have to do that. I get up at 5:30 usually every morning. And I don't have to go do animals till 8. So it's my time to drink some coffee, answer emails, have my quiet time. And if I find myself getting up at 6, I'm panicking.
Because you lost that 30 minutes.
And I'm in a panic. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in a hurry. And I got people pulling the driveway. And I got to do animals. And it's just it's a complete panic.
I know one thing is like my morning routine. Like I do like you do. But I give myself 40 minutes to walk out the door. Usually. Not even that much. Sometimes it's like 30. Sometimes I'll get up at 6:45. I'm out the door by 7:15. Because like I go to college. I don't, I fast track. So I don't have to go to high school every day. I don't have a dress code. So I wake up, I take my medicine, I do my skincare, I brush through my hair, usually put it in a braid or in a little bun, and then I take off my PJs and put on clean PJs and then go to school. That's what I do. I get out of the dirty ones because Mom's like, you can't wear what you wore to bed at school. And I'm like, Mom, why? Like, I'm going to come back home and I'm going to lay in the bed. She's like, you can't do that. So I'm like, okay. So I'll take off, usually I'll sleep in pajama shorts and a big t-shirt. So I'll put on pajama pants, usually my Christmas ones. Because, I want everyone to be in the festive mood. And then I'll just throw on a hoodie or something and I leave.
You're so funny.
That's literally what I do. And Mom's like, I can't believe you go to school like that. I'm just like, Mom, it's okay. Evening anxiety. Do you have evening anxiety?
I usually have morning anxiety.
Really? See, I'm the opposite. I get anxious at night. I think because I have extended release medicine, so it usually gets me there. But if I have to take it, some days I have to take it really early because I'm going to school and stuff. And if I want to look really pretty or I have to get up to go do something, if I have to get up at 5:36, I'm taking my medicine. It's running out.
Yeah. But
the days I get up at 9, I'm good all night, So it's definitely stressful because at night I usually stress out about the next day. It's bad. I'm like, okay, I got to get up, do this, do this, do this. I got to go to school. After school, I got to do that, do that, do that. And that's what stresses me out every night. I get a little anxious, and then I get anxious. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to fall asleep. So then I'm anxious about not falling asleep while I'm trying to fall asleep.
Well, and I wear myself out all day long.
Yeah.
And so then I fall out at night. I'm dead at night.
Well, I haven't been having trouble falling asleep since I've started new medicines. I don't really have that problem. But it doesn't matter how tired I am. Yesterday I had a pageant. I got home, I washed my hair, I braided my hair, I laid down. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to fall asleep. And I stressed myself out about that. And I was literally out within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I still just stress myself out so bad. How do you have morning anxiety? What do you get anxious about in the mornings?
Usually it's about, I worry about the most craziest stuff ever. I told you my biggest fear is to be homeless.
Yes.
And so, I worry about money all the time. But you would think I was just, totally dead broke.
I'm not
because I worry about it. I worry about, oh my gosh, if I don't have enough tours this week, what am I going to do to make money? Because if I don't make this money, I'm not going to have feed, and then I'm going to have to get rid of my animals, and then Snead's farmhouse is going to be gone, and oh my gosh, what am I, I go into la land.
Over something
stupid.
I do that so bad.
And I'm like, Judy, why are you doing this?
Yeah, I stress myself out about not having money, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm 17. The only thing I need money for is my bark boxes for my dogs and gas. And I stress myself out so bad, and I'm just like, sometimes I have to be like, listen, like, you're a kid. Like, last time I was in therapy, I was like, yeah, Mom bought me this $200-something dress for the parade, and I feel terrible. And she's like, why? She's your mom. I was like, yeah, but she shouldn't have to buy that. And she's like, Haley, she's your mom. I was talking to Mom about it the other day, and she goes, well, and I talked about it to Dad, and they're like, well, it's good that you think that way, but at the same time, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay for your mom to spend this money on you.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that because I feel bad. Like, I'll be like, Mom, do we have enough money? She's like, where do you want to go to eat? And I'm like, do we have money to go out? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, I'm just making sure. Like, I just feel bad.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that, it's just not right. Like, you shouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone has one thing that they worry about that they shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It definitely is something I struggle with. Like, I'll worry about money, and then sometimes I'll just worry about, like, the most stupid things.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Intrusive thoughts. You know what intrusive thoughts are?
Give me an example.
Kind of like all of a sudden, you think about something crazy, it just comes in. And it's just, like, I will be honest. Sometimes if I'm, like, really depressed and I'm driving, all of a sudden I'll be like, drive your car off the road. Like, just do it. It'll all be over. Just do it, and you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
But it's just all of a sudden. It's like that. And, you know, my honest opinion, I think intrusive thoughts come from the devil. Because, I mean, I just think that's his way of just trying to get into your head.
Yeah.
Or it's like, you don't deserve that. Or go do this. Or, like, I'll be in class, and it's like, scream. It's like, why would I scream in the middle of class?
Yeah.
And it's not that you're crazy. I think everyone experiences intrusive thoughts.
They do.
And it's okay.
But sometimes it's like people don't even recognize them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but you, like, when you recognize them, you'll laugh at yourself.
Yeah, because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Taylor and I were in the car the other night, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. I just thought about maybe, just drive up the road. And I was like, okay, whatever. But, like, if you take that seriously, like, sometimes I'm just like, I'm going to drive off the road. And then there's just crazy things. It's like, sometimes I'll be laying in bed, and it's like, kick your leg. It's like, what do you mean kick your leg? Like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Or, like I said, in class, just raise your hand for no reason. Or say this. And it's like, why would I do that? So then I get anxious about it. But everyone has it.
I think so.
Like my aunt, she's a counselor, and she told me to talk about that because she said a lot of people are embarrassed and they don't realize how common it is. I have them all the time.
Yeah.
Or it's like, if there's something in front of me that looks like it has a good texture, I'm like I have to touch it. Like, no thoughts. I'm just like, boop. In Walmart, if I'm passing clothes, I'm like, gotta feel every single one to make sure it's a good material. What kind of intrusive thoughts do you have?
Mine are usually negative.
Ooh.
Yeah, mine are like dark. Mine are like Shane doesn't love you.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Shane doesn't love you. If he loved you, he would do this, this, and this. Or he's going to cheat. Okay, like, have you ever done this? Like, when you've been cheated on a lot, let's just say, and you're like, okay, Shane just told you he cheated on you. What are you going to do? And then I'll go, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to that tree, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to think. Like, I go through the whole scenario,
absolutely.
and I'm like, he ain't even cheated on me. Why am I doing this?
Well, like, I've done stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, if this happens, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, this hasn't even happened. Mm-hmm. Like, why are you so worried about
what
it?
What it is our intuition. It's our, what do you call it? It's our, I can't think of the word. It's where we are trying to take care of ourselves. Like, Shane ain't ever cheated on me a day in his life, but in the past, I've got cheated on a bunch. And I got really, really hurt. So it's my defense mechanism to myself. So if it happens, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to sit over there, and I'm going to pray, and I'm going to, I'll walk through the whole, or I'll go, okay, your mom just passed away. They just called you and said your mom, what are you going to do?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why am I thinking this?
Yeah, Taylor and I talked about it the other day. Like, he said that he's
Taylor's your brother.
Yeah. Every once in a while, he'll, like, just have a dream, like, you know, where, like, mom or I have, like, passed away, and he's like, what am I going to do? And he, like, thinks about it. And I was like, oh, I do that. Yeah. Like, every once in a while, I'll think about, like, if my mom passed, what would I do? Because I have no idea what I'd do. Like, that is my rock.
Right.
I don't know what I'd do. I don't know where I'd live. Like, I know there's places I could live, but I couldn't imagine, like, walking in and seeing that. Right. Like, seeing my mom gone, because that's my person.
Right.
Everyone has their person, that's my mom. Right. And, like, then you go through all the things, and you're like, okay, well, I'd have to move here. I'd have to move all my stuff. Who's going to go through her stuff? Am I going to have to go through her stuff?
And it's crazy that your brain goes that far into it.
And it hasn't even happened.
I know.
And it ain't even going to happen.
And it's like, why are you even thinking it?
Or
but
like,
that's the intrusive thoughts that I think, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's, like, negative.
Yeah, I'm a hypochondriac, right? Oh, God, it's so bad. I was having bad upper back pain. I had to go to the emergency room for it, and I had been having headaches and neck pain, and I was like, I have cancer. I looked up, like, all the symptoms of lymphoma, and I had, like, every single one.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, I'm going to die, and you're going to feel bad for not bringing me to the doctor because I have it. And she's like, no, you don't. You're fine. And I'm like, what's going to happen if I have cancer? I was like, am I going to shave my head? I was like, I really don't want to. I have a pageant. I was like, I have a pageant coming up. I don't want to shave my head.
But those are things that all of us do. I mean, we really do that.
What is he doing over there?
Who is this?
Andrew.
I don't see him.
He's squatted on the ground.
He's talking to Queso.
He's talking to the tortoise.
Maybe he's having intrusive thoughts.
Go talk to the turtle right now. You need to go talk to the tortoise. Okay, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about?
We've been talking. How long have we been talking? I don't want to, like, extend it too much.
I mean, we can just go for it. You know?
I know that when I was in high school, I feel like most people that are listening to this podcast are younger people, but I could be wrong. It could be all ages. But I know that when I was in high school, weight was a huge thing because I was in dance, on the dance line, and we had to wear uniforms. And I can remember, you know, like, feeling fat, and I don't look like her, and if I looked like her, he would date me, and all that just junk. And the pressure of being in high school and worrying about, like, stuff like that. I remember all that pressure. And, like, when you have all that pressure at such a young age, it seems to escalate when you get older. Like, if it's a problem, like if you're beating yourself up over weight, or
always gonna do it.
Yes. And if you don't fix it when you're young, it's just going to keep escalating when you're older.
I used to be like 110, 115 pounds, and I was unhealthy. Like, I was barely, that was when I was working for you, and you could, like, even vouch that I was not eating much ever. Yeah. Like, I would stay here from, like, 8 to 4 in the afternoon, and I wouldn't eat anything. And you're like, are you hungry? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Because I just wouldn't. I wouldn't eat, and I was so unhealthy. But I hated myself then.
Me too.
I was like, oh, I had the smallest little bump in my tummy. The smallest little thing. And now I look back at pictures, I'm like, oh, my gosh. I was upset then. And now I'm, like, 133 pounds. And it's like, you know, it was hard because Andrew and I started dating when I was 110 pounds, and now I'm 133, so it's like, gosh, I've gained so much weight, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I don't play sports anymore. I'm not on a perfect eating schedule like I was in high school. I eat now. I put food into my body, and it's okay. You know, like, if you find someone that really loves you, they don't care what you look like.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying you don't need to let yourself get obese, because God gave you a body. He gave you a temple. Do not disrespect that.
Right.
So I'm not saying you need to be 600 pounds, but I'm saying if you want a cupcake, just eat it.
Yeah.
I don't work out much. I run like a mile and a half every other day, every 2 days, and I eat as much as I want. If I'm still hungry, I'll go back for seconds, go back for thirds. I always eat dessert. It doesn't matter how full I am. I'm eating some type of ice cream. I am. Anytime I eat at home, I'm eating ice cream if we have some. Like, after this, I'm definitely getting my mom to go to Walmart because we're out of our favorite ice cream. We keep ice cream. But I will say one thing to girls my age and women older. Eat the cupcake.
Yeah.
You're not going to be 80 years old in a freaking bikini going, oh my gosh, I was so fat when I was little. No, girl. Eat what you want. Wear what you want.
I love it.
Just be confident. Like, I'm not confident in a bikini, but I'm confident in my one piece, and that's okay. When Andrew and I went to prom, I don't have the body for a skin tight dress. I'm built like the Lorax, and that's okay. The Lorax needs love too. That's why I had a poopy prom dress. But it's okay to be bigger. It's okay to have. I don't like my arms. I have man arms. I'm built like a teenage boy. I just have the linebacker build, and I don't have the biggest chest. I don't have the tiniest waist. I have bigger thighs, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what? What is the point of me worrying about that? Because guess what? When I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to look the exact same. Like I am.
Yeah.
And I'm not obese, but I'm definitely not in the best shape I could be in.
I think if I had to say something to a teenage girl, I would say this. Learn to be the best version of you. What that looks like, it's going to look different from me. It's going to look different from you. But are you the best version of you? And I think that on a daily basis that you should work towards being the best version of Judy or Haley, that we can be. And that's something that we have to constantly work out. It doesn't ever get there completely, right? I mean, we're not perfect. We're not, and we've got to constantly work at it. And it's got to be a daily thing that, you have to exercise. You have to drink your water. You know these things. You know that you need, quiet time. You need proper sleep. Like we all know what it takes to be healthy, and we just have to work at it every day. And don't like you just said, don't beat yourself up. Love yourself. Be kind to yourself. Speak kind words to yourself, and never give up.
And don't be mean to other people. That's one thing I could tell teenage girls my age is don't be mean. Like, I've been so mean in the past, and now I just want to be nice to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't care if I don't agree with your political views. I don't care if I don't believe with what you believe in. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're straight, black, white, anything. I love everybody because I want you to love me. I want you to leave today and be like, I love that girl. I was at a pageant yesterday, and this one girl was like, that girl's dress was ugly. And I was like, that girl's dress was beautiful. It was beautiful. Her dress was beautiful. And it's like, don't be mean to other girls. Be nice, because you know what? You want friends and girls on your social media that are going to comment on your pictures and go, oh my gosh, slay queen, you are beautiful. And I'm that girl, because guess what? When I read those, they make me so confident and happy.
Amen.
So when I see a girl post on Snapchat a picture of herself smiling, or on Facebook or anything, I'm going to comment and be like, you are perfection. Like, you're beautiful and stuff. Just be nice to each other. And even if I've been mean to you in the past, or anyone's been mean to you, forgive them. And you never know what someone's going through. So whether they are just crude to you, just be nice.
Right.
And it can be so hard. And I'm definitely not the best at it now, but the best thing I can say is be kind to yourself, but that doesn't mean you can't be kind to other people. You always need to be kind.
Right.
So, yeah. You have anything else?
I've enjoyed today. I'm glad that we got to talk.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. I like doing the topics.
Yeah.
Like from other people.
Yeah. So if there's a topic you want to talk about, just submit it to us, and we would love to give our opinion on it. Not that we know everything, but we can certainly tell you our opinion.
We love giving our opinion.
From a 17-year-old to a 52-year-old, we're all over the map.
So if you would like to leave some more topics, you could comment down below if you're on YouTube. And if you're not on YouTube, you can email our Gmail at noodlebrainspodcast@gmail.com. And we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Do we have an Instagram?
We love
Follow our Instagram. Add that in there at some point.